Now on CoastTV News.
More moratorium. Dagsboro will continue to limit new development until key regulations are ironed out. What needs to be done before building can begin in town. No action in Lewes. The Parks and Rec Commission is not banning or restricting beach bonfires, despite a community member's complaints. And the end of an era. Ocean City's iconic tram will not return to the boardwalk. What's behind the resort town's decision?
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Well, if your online services were not working today, you're definitely not alone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Millions of internet users were left in the dark today with a slew of popular websites and services unavailable because of an issue with Amazon Web Services, or AWS. The internet-based cloud service hosts many of the world's most used online services. It also connects people and businesses. Sherelle Hubbard has details on that global disconnect.
AWS sits in the middle of everything.
Banking and payment apps like Venmo, online games including Fortnite, social media platforms such as Snapchat and Facebook, Amazon linked smart devices in homes, all affected Monday in a mass internet outage. Disney Plus and Hulu reported issues. Delta and United Airlines also impacted. The outage blamed on an issue with Amazon Web Services, or AWS.
We've designed everything to work with this constant connectivity. And when you pull that big plug, everything basically becomes dumb.
Problems were first reported overnight and persisted for several hours before the problem was thought to be fixed, but issues persisted throughout the day. By Monday afternoon, Amazon said its systems were mostly back online.
DNS failure happened within Amazon. That essentially caused a chain link effect throughout all of Amazon's servers, starting with a core server in Northern Virginia. Now, it's a huge, huge issue because this one little failure caused a huge swath of the internet to go down.
One expert says the financial impact of the outage could total hundreds of billions of dollars. According to the market research firm Gartner, Amazon Web Services accounted for 37% of the global cloud market share in 2024, giving it a critical role in supporting the World Wide Web.
There's going to be questions asked about, okay, so what are you going to do to prevent this from happening again?
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Now we're going to take a live look outside into Lewes and turn things to our first alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams with a check on our forecast. Good evening, Paul.
One thing that you have to keep in mind is, hey, we're really enjoying relatively quiet conditions for us right now. And the Ocean City, we're at 58 degrees. Dew point temperature is 41. Now, our anticipation for tonight, we're going to fall into the 40s rather easily, down to 49 degrees as early as 3 o'clock, with the wind still staying a little bit on the active side. Now, speaking of the winds, that's been the mantra of our forecast throughout the day. I mean, we're talking about 36 mile per hour winds actually in Salisbury. We had a 32 mile per hour wind gust recorded in Ocean City and a 36 mile per hour wind gust reported actually for us in Wallops Island. Now, where we stand right now, the winds are primarily moving out of the west-northwest, but they're relatively calm. We're only measuring, let's say, 8 mile per hour wind gusts so far. But we do still have an active concern for a small craft advisory that will stay in effect until 2 o'clock for Tuesday as we brace for still 25 mile per hour winds, basically along the coast from Prime Hook to Lewes, to Rehoboth Beach, all the way down towards Fenwick Island. Now, coming up, we'll talk more about some additional concerns we'll have about winds, but for right now, back to you, Christina.
Paul, thank you. Well, tonight, the Dagsboro Town Council unanimously voted to extend the town's development moratorium for a maximum of 180 days. The moratorium was put in place in April of this year. It prohibits the construction of any new buildings within town limits. During this period, the town has looked at updating old regulations for impact and building permit fees. CoastTV photojournalist Matt Hipsman takes us to Dagsboro.
Everyone believes that it's in our best interest and the town's best interest to get all our ducks in a row before we actually lift the moratorium and start having development occur in the town and the growth that needs to be orderly and logical. Tonight, the council was amenable to the idea of extending it for up to 180 days.
Reviewing the town charter, a lot of it is arcane and it's a lot to unwind. It just doesn't sound like they've had enough time to do it yet. It makes sense to me. And it doesn't sound like they're trying to milk it either. If they're able to accomplish what they need in less time, then there's nothing stopping them from voting to lift it.
If we're able to achieve the items that we need to change before then we'll lift the moratorium in advance of that timeline.
All developments that were already approved are not impacted by the moratorium.
On your screen now is a horse property on Route 24 that's near Beacon Middle School. This area will be back on the table at tomorrow's Sussex County Council meeting. Zoning changes specifically. Belmead LLC wants to turn the land into apartments and businesses. Council actually deferred a decision last month, extending public comment for 6 weeks. According to the agenda, tomorrow is for staff to provide an update on responses to council member questions. Right now, the entire piece of land is agricultural residential. That has to change to commercial C4 district before any further approvals happen. Those with the project say it will offer much needed affordable housing and has gotten the support of nonprofits as well. We have an update tonight about bonfires on Lewes beaches. We first told you at 5 and 6 a ban on bonfires was being considered at tonight's Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, but that didn't happen. The city decided to take no action regarding bonfires. And as CoastTV reporter Brandon Ferguson shows us, this all started with one community member's complaints about smoke on the beach causing potential health problems.
Crackling fires and waves crashing. The two ingredients for a beach bonfire. Jim Curlin is the co-owner of event planning company Beach and Bash. Curlin uses beach bonfires as a part of his business and says it's not just businesses like his that a ban will hurt.
In the long run, you're going to be hurting, families, and they create memories because there's not many beaches left that allow bonfires.
A man that has lived in this building since the 80s, saying in a letter to the city that wood smoke is a health risk and that he has seen people dumping live coals into the bay, claiming sometimes smoke reaches his balcony.
There is so much more to it than just environmental factors.
Just a few miles from Lewes, Rehoboth Beach has a ban on all beach fires. Curlin says that's what makes Lewes a prime spot to have bonfires. Lawrence Mullen lives in Lewes and has no problems with bonfires as long as no one gets hurt.
As long as they're conducted safely and that they're, people are doing it in an appropriate fashion where children or other people are not put at risk, why not?
People that live in Lewes have their say, and now the city's Parks and Recreation Commission have theirs.
And that was Brandon Ferguson reporting. Again, there will be no ban or restrictions on bonfires in Lewes, but a $25 permit is needed for any open flames, including bonfires on the beach in Lewes. Now looking at some other coastal towns in Fenwick Island, if you want to have a bonfire, you need a permit. To get a permit, you must live in Fenwick Island, be a property owner or renter in town, and be 18 or older. In Dewey Beach, you can get a permit from Town Hall or online. Also in Bethany Beach and Rehoboth Beach, bonfires are banned altogether. This does bring us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know how you think Lewes should handle bonfires. Let's look at the results now. 77% think they should keep it as is, and that seems like what the Parks and Rec Commission decided to do tonight. 12% think a ban, 4% say stricter rules, 7% say less strict rules. And you can still vote. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Let us know what you think. Well, new tonight, 2 former Bethany Beach police officers are now behind bars. According to the town, former Chief Michael Redman reported to a federal prison in West Virginia to begin serving a 13-month sentence for wire fraud. Also, former Captain Darren Cathell reported to a facility in Massachusetts to serve 2 months also for wire fraud. Federal prosecutors say the two stole nearly $300,000 in overtime funds over 6 years, and an internal investigation by the town of Bethany Beach uncovered this scheme. Both men pleaded guilty earlier this year. Well, as we first reported this weekend, 2 cars crashed into the Georgetown Circle over the weekend. Police say both of the drivers were under the influence. And these crashes come on the heels of safety measures installed there to prevent accidents. That includes new bollards, new signs, surrounding the circle, and some people tell us they wonder if more needs to be done.
Hoping that state officials take heed to what has happened and actually, put some more safety precautions in order. Maybe some barricades, a few brick things, something bigger than these poles.
And Georgetown police say installing a speed limit sign that flashes red and blue hopes to catch drivers' attention and stop crashes like these. Also increasing the amount of officers they have to hopefully help with enforcement. Now to Ocean City. It's the end of an era there. The town's iconic tram service is not going to be returning to operation. It had been suspended since a tram car hit and killed a 2-year-old boy on the boardwalk in August of last year. The town says multiple operational and safety factors were taken into account. The tram had been operating since 1964. It served as a way to help families, seniors, and visitors travel the boardwalk.
We understand, this is disappointing, but we're going to try to replace this or do something kind of new and exciting. We're looking at brainstorming a number of options right now.
Now, some business owners tell us they're going to miss the traffic that the tram delivered, but others say they feel this is a short-term safety reset. The town says it is brainstorming alternatives to move people along the boardwalk. Also, a second transportation decision in Ocean City today, the town deciding to not allow golf carts on Coastal Highway. Last month, we told you about Andy Sanderson. He has a golf cart, which he uses to get around his neighborhood, but he wanted to go a step further and cruise down Coastal Highway with it, specifically in the bus lane. But the city manager said that plan is not going forward, saying low-speed vehicles are not recommended on roads with a speed limit more than 30 miles per hour. And we are just getting started. Still more news ahead, like some new rules on the road, how Harrington is planning to tighten safety laws for e-bikes and scooters. But first, a 6-foot sand drop along Bethany Beach. What last week's nor'easter left behind and what comes next. And Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He has your full forecast next.
Right now we're quiet and the winds have finally died down just a little bit, but they may kick up a little bit more as we progress throughout the week. It's going to stay a little bit breezy at the very least, and we're watching out for a wave of rain that's going to visit us as well. So in Lewes right now, it's 46, feeling like a very cool fall night degrees is what I'd call it, even though the winds are relatively calm, but they're pouring out of the north right now. We are staying very clear at this particular juncture as far as what's happening with our small craft advisory. We have this one that's still active for us for Tuesday until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Now to the south, we actually had one that was active until about 7 o'clock. It's been allowed to expire, but the one that's on the other side is still staying active until 6 o'clock for Wednesday. The trough is pushed through, and that's helping to push things and give us that northerly flow. But it's a relatively, what I'd call a relatively inert trough, so it's not creating any cloud cover nor any precipitation. So it's just much ado about nothing, for lack of a better phrase. We're clear. Overnight, we're going to drop into the 50s and 40s, but look at these winds. We had winds howling at about 37 miles per hour, for example, in Georgetown. And so the winds are going to be a constant underlying motif in our weather for the rest of the work week. Now, we're holding right now in the 40s, and we're outpacing the models that indicated low 50s. But we'll have the winds pushing out of the south for Tuesday afternoon, still racing at about 27 to 29 mile per hour wind gusts out of the south. And then on Wednesday, they'll shift more zonal, but still at 27 to 29. And this is mid-morning for us on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll still at least have 25 mile per hour winds likely for us. So it's staying breezy all week long. So we're not just going to blow a leaf around. We're going to blow probably a lot of trash cans around, because at 28 miles per hour, that's when that actually will happen, when you begin to calculate the wind impact when we're dealing with those winds. That being said, how about we serve up some 70s really across a good portion of the Delmarva Peninsula? It's looking pretty uniform for the most part, because we're not seeing much of a variation with the cloud cover generally across the entire peninsula. So with that being the case, what's the variable that changes things up? It's really the winds. Southwest at 10 miles per hour in one location, 9, 7, and 8 in some other locations, but everybody's relatively around the 70-degree mark, a little above, a little below. So we start off in the 40s for Tuesday. By the afternoon, we're near 70. Tuesday evening late, we could get a sprinkle that'll roll through here. That's about the only threat of rain, and that's really not that big a deal. Just being honest. I mean, when you take a look at all 3 days, Chincoteague, Assateague, we're not really calling for much in the way of rain. There's going to be a brief sprinkle that may bring a little fluster to it or mustard to it, but after that, it's going to be pretty much out of here. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Now, what I do want you to watch out for is this right here, and Christina's going to love this. This 61 on Friday drops down to 40 on Saturday, and I'm guaranteeing you right now that 40 probably going to turn into a 38 before the week is done.
I actually hate that. Thank you, Paul. Well, if you've been to Bethany Beach lately, you have probably noticed things look a bit different there. Last week's nor'easter left a lasting impression on the beach, leaving a steep drop into the sand. Coast TV News reporter Nicole Richter shows us the extent of the damage and what visitors had to say.
Walking along the boardwalk, the damage is hard to miss. A wall of sand now separates the walkways from the water, a 6-foot drop left behind by last week's nor'easter.
Walking up here and seeing it blocked off and then just seeing it drop is just, it's unreal.
Several access points are now closed, with only a few open further down the beach. Still, one person Coast TV spoke with says they are just glad the damage didn't go beyond the dunes.
I've never seen anything like it. But I did hear that it could have been worse, that it didn't break the dunes.
Despite the visible damage, others remain optimistic about the cleanup and repairs, saying the community is no stranger to storms like this.
I think they'll get it fixed. I mean, I think they're pretty used to this, so I don't think it'll cause too much problem.
Town officials say the beach and dune system held up as designed, protecting homes, businesses, and the boardwalk from major flooding.
Now, if you look behind me here, you can just see how steep the drop-off is. About 6 feet of sand washed away from last week's nor'easter. Now, the mayor tells Coast TV that future funding replenishment is uncertain. He says that for Bethany Beach, it isn't just a want, it's a need. In Bethany Beach, I'm Nicole Richter, Coast TV News.
Coming up, we have some international news, a high-stakes heist in Paris, and why experts say priceless jewels may never be recovered.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Up in Kent County, people in Harrington, the town of Harrington, looking to tighten rules for motorized bike and scooter users. During tonight's council meeting, the first reading of a proposed ordinance to ban riders from using those motorized devices on public streets and sidewalks unless the power is off. The proposed ordinance would also set age limits and require helmets for minors and issue fines for violations.
Our main goal here is to implement the ordinance to make sure the safety of the one riding the bike and the motoring public, we don't have no major incidents in town. It's more of a deterrent to try to prevent things than deal with things.
And after tonight's first reading, the ordinance will return to the council agenda for a second reading. City leaders say they're not yet sure when that's going to happen. A commitment to keeping Breeze Airways in Wicomico County for the long haul. Tomorrow, the Wicomico County Council will take a look at an operations and space use agreement with Breeze Airways. The agreement irons out finer details, such as space Breeze can use inside the terminal and the right to fly people in and out of Salisbury. In essence, the agreement makes sure that Breeze Airways can operate smoothly at the airport.
Have ticket counter space, but most of the airport is common use space that's shared with the other commercial service airlines that are here. There were certain requirements with regards to their operation because they are larger aircraft than Piedmont has experienced on the commercial sense, but nothing that we didn't have the space for.
And the agreement comes with a 5-year term. It does give Breeze the option to back out if it needs to, but if Breeze continues to find success in Wicomico County, it also has the option to sign on for an additional 5 years. Now, the Salisbury Airport is not offering direct flights to Paris, but that's where our next story takes us. The Louvre Museum in Paris announced it would remain closed today as investigations continue into Sunday's extraordinary theft of historic jewelry. But as Ivan Rodriguez reports, experts say the prospects of recovering the treasures are slim.
In what appeared to be a professional heist, robbers used a truck-mounted ladder to gain access to the Apollo Gallery, one of the most ornate rooms in the Louvre Museum. They made off with artifacts from the French crown jewels that date back to the Napoleonic era.
Well, I think it's the heist of the decade.
Art recovery expert Arthur Brand says Napoleon's crown jewels are too hot for the robbers to sell as they are. He believes they'll likely dismantle them.
There is gold in it, silver in it, diamonds in it. You can melt down the gold, you can melt down the silver, you can cut the jewels. And if you sell them separately, there is no lead to this theft.
New video shows police examining the window thieves entered the museum through, as well as the blowtorch and angle grinder found at the scene. Among the items taken was a diamond and sapphire jewelry set, including a tiara and necklace. Experts say that the chances of recovering the jewels get smaller and smaller as more time passes.
I think that the moral of the French people are going to be totally broken by this new episode from a very, very bad Netflix film.
The robbery took only 7 minutes, with the suspects fleeing on motorcycles, according to officials.
They should have security much better than this. People shouldn't be able to just drive up with a vehicle and climb into a window.
One of the most high-profile robberies at the Louvre was Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, which was stolen off the museum's wall in August of 1911. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Coming up next, 30 Rocks at 30 Rock, how NBC is tipping off the NBA's return with a new art display. The NBA season gets underway on Tuesday night, and the action returns to NBC for the first time in 24 years with a season opener doubleheader featuring the defending champion Oklahoma Thunder. And as NBC's Mark Barger shows us, this weekend there's a special display in New York City to celebrate the NBC NBA reunion.
Round Ball Rock is NBC's iconic NBA theme song. And below the network's headquarters in New York, 30 Rocks at 30 Rock decorate Rockefeller Plaza in celebration of the league's return to NBC.
I love the idea of merging, sports with fine arts.
Victor Quinones is one of 30 artists who created one-of-a-kind, oversized round ball rocks, each one adorned with designs representing the city and culture of all 30 NBA teams.
I think all the artists nailed it.
Quinones worked on the Brooklyn Nets.
So I wanted to use East Coast graffiti style where it says spread love and incorporate a lot of elements that represent Brooklyn.
An artist known as Mad Steez repped the rival New York Knicks.
What I wanted to do was depict the fans and how how awesome they were and just the energy within the city.
The energy of the art dazzled the passersby.
I think the colors are amazing. They totally capture California.
I don't want to give too much credit to Philly, but their ball is beautiful. I really like it. It's very unique.
One Timberwolves fan did offer a minor critique.
You can see I'm wearing a Nas Reed shirt, so we could have put Nas Reed here. That would be my only thing to add.
Some different art awaits fans of defending champion Oklahoma City when they open the season Tuesday night on NBC against Houston and former OKC star Kevin Durant.
We are looking forward to it when they drop that banner and Kevin Durant comes back to Oklahoma City to watch the banner drop for the OKC Thunder. Yeah. He should have stayed.
As that tip-off and a follow-up between the Warriors and Lakers beckon, wannabe NBA stars are taking their shot on 30 Rock's custom LED court. Just a prelude for what's to come.
Give me basketball. I'm in. I'm watching.
Mark Barger, NBC Entertainment.
And coverage of NBA opening night begins right here on Coast TV tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Up first, Rockets vs. Thunder, and that's followed by the Warriors at the Lakers. Coast TV News at 11 will be pushed back as a result of the games. We'll be on right after.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Stephen Decatur's football season started slow. The Seahawks had their 28-game win streak snapped, but now they're building another one. Decatur is 5-1 and cruising into this Friday's DSN Game of the Night.
Stephen Decatur hosts Kent Island in a battle between two teams moving in similar directions. Like I said, the Seahawks are soaring. The Buccaneers, meanwhile, are on a 4-game win streak. That last win for KI was dramatic. Junior Trace Klapaska started under center for Kent Island in a clash against undefeated Y-High last Thursday. He was already the backup quarterback, playing in place of the starter who was hurt the previous week. Klopasca and sophomore Liam Allen split drives in the first half, and the Buccaneers fell to a 21-7 deficit against the Tribe. Then in the second half, Allen won the job for good. With the help of star senior running back Jackson Hess, KI came back to beat Y-High 24-23. It was Allen's second ever game on the varsity roster, and he contributed off the bench to wins each time. As for Hess, he finished with 3 touchdowns. But speaking of dominant running backs, let's get back to Stephen Decatur. In its most recent win over Easton, senior Kyle Mumford scored all 4 touchdowns for the Hawks. It should be another DSN Classic coming up this Friday. Kickoff is at 6, and pregame coverage starts as early as 5 with Down and Distance.
That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, Delmarva.
In Salisbury, we're at 45 degrees, courtesy of our Tidal Health camera. We have a small craft advisory that is in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning, right off the coast for us for Sussex. But everywhere else, we're looking relatively quiet. We do have that same concern over there by Cambridge. Our umbrella winner is Norman Jones of Lincoln. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices Bruckstead, Medalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We'll look over 72 on Tuesday, mild and real fall-like on Tuesday. But by the time we get to Friday, it's going to start feeling a little bit like old Jack Frost. You know Jack, right?
I know Jack. We go
Jack.
way back.
Yeah. Well, apparently he's coming back. Since y'all go way back.
All right, whatever. Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more on our Coast TV News app, and The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next. We'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.